Hello, my name is Seth Maloney, and I started writing this book called Endings and Beginnings May 23rd, a little over a month ago. And it's going pretty good. I got a little over 14,000 words right now, and I'm in the 5th chapter. I'm not really sure how long I want it, but it will most likely be over 40,000 words, maybe 50. And yeah, it's called Endings and Beginnings. And today I'm just going to share the first chapter, which doesn't really, it's just an intro. It doesn't sound like the book at all, really, but it's kind of nice, just kind of lets you into it. What the book's about is the end of the world, basically. And yeah, well, let's start reading. That's what it's going to be. Okay. So, chapter 1, Summer Breeze. It was a typical summer day on Clearwater Beach, Florida, in 2013. Many people of all ages and sizes head to the beach for a dip in the water, or a fun-filled game of volleyball, or a meal at Frenchie's. There are many noises and scenes to be heard and seen around the beach, from angry native drivers going around the circle with tourists who do not have the slightest clue of what they are doing, and smashing sounds from the people playing tennis, and the wonderful music and tricks and stunts from the street performers at Pier 60. Well, most people on this beach were outdoors catching the summer breeze. Jacob Stubert was inside delving into great amusing books. Jacob was always a curious George, so to speak, and he always wanted to learn more and explore. Stubert is 16 years old and about 6'2", and a bit portly, weighing about 225 pounds. Jacob has an older brother named Johnson, who is 18 years old, and an older sister named Sylvia, who is 21 years old, and a mother named Susan, and a dad named Joe. While Sylvia was attending college at USF, the rest of the family lived in the 880 Mandalay apartment. It seemed like for Jacob, Johnson was bringing home a different girl every other week because he was a starting quarterback for CHS. Jacob was a junior in school, and Johnson was a senior, and Sylvia was a junior at USF. Even though Jacob was the captain of the chess team, he did not seem to get much credit or attention for that from almost anybody. Yep, while the rest of the family was out and about most of the time during the summer, Jacob was in his chamber of solitude, so to speak. Susan was a nurse at Mormon Plant and worked long hours and usually did not get back till late in the evening. And Joe owned a restaurant on the beach named the Oasis. Jacob has had one best friend since kindergarten, whose name is Gregory White. He used to get made fun of sometimes in middle school because he is actually black. They have had a great connection or bond ever since the first day they met, and tell each other everything, from their favorite comics to their favorite book characters to what they had for breakfast. Gregory is the same age as Jacob and attends the same high school. Along with reading, Jacob also has a passion for art and drawing. He draws many different things from characters and stories, or made up creation in his own mind. Well, like most days, Jacob invited Gregory to his apartment to hang out. Jacob had a pizza cooking in the oven for both of them when Gregory arrived. Jacob got out 2 cups and filled them with ice, and then poured in some cherry coke. Just as he was putting away the soda, he heard ding-dong from the doorbell, followed by a rhythmic knock, of which sounded like a woodpecker tapping a tree. Jacob scurried to the door and opened it, and with an excited greeting, he said, "Hey, Gregory, what's up?" And Gregory spit back, "Good." A few minutes later, there was a ding, and they both knew that it was pizza time. They both brought their pizza and drinks carefully out to the patio, overlooking the sparkling Gulf of Mexico. Gregory started the conversation by asking, "So have you made any artwork lately?" Jacob was happy that his friend asked this question and retorted by saying, "Yes. In fact, I have it right in my room if you wanted to see it." Gregory responded by saying, "Sure." Jacob quickly left the table to grab his artwork while Gregory was still happily munching away on his cheese pizza. Jacob returned a moment later with a colorfully drawn picture of Wario on his motorcycle and colored pencils. Gregory was amazed and proclaimed, "That is wonderful. I wish I had your art talent." Jacob said, "Well, I wish I could play the piano the way you do." Jacob, smirking, said, "Well, I guess nobody's perfect." After they finished eating their meals, they quickly cleaned up and set up the Wii system. Jacob then got out 2 controllers and put in their favorite game, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Jacob decided to be his favorite character, Wario, and Gregory was Samus. They both started out with 10 lives to start the match. Jacob made the first kill by knocking Samus clean off the stage with the motorcycle. Then Samus came back and blasted Wario into space. Blows were exchanged in every direction, and it was beginning to be a very tight match. Wario had 2 lives left and Samus had 3. Then Wario picked up a Pokeball and got a Snorlax, which just smothered Samus. Then, while Wario was in the air, Samus did a jumping back kick which sent Wario soaring. Then Wario miraculously obtained the Super Smash and transformed into Super Mario and killed Samus very quickly. So now it was down to 1 life apiece. Jacob noticed that Wario was blinking red, so he quickly jumped right over Samus so Gregory couldn't react in time, and released an epic fart which shook the earth and destroyed everything in sight. Game over. They played several more games after that, some Jacob winning, some Gregory winning, all the while having fun. Then just before Gregory was going to leave, he asked Jacob, just for the fun of it, "Hey Jacob, what would you do if you knew you only had 24 hours to live?" "Well, I would have an enjoyable day and share it with the people I love. Like you, Gregory, and just before my time was up, I would say a prayer to God and say I'll see you soon." "Wow," Gregory exclaimed. "That really means a lot to me. You really are a great friend." "Okay, see you later, alligator," Gregory chuckled and said. Jacob replied, "Okay, see you, alligator." Later, Gregory chuckled and said, "In a wild crocodile." You would think that because Jacob only has one friend and is introverted, that he does not have a lot of self-esteem. But that assumption is entirely wrong, and actually the opposite is true. He has a lot of self-esteem and confidence in his abilities because he knows that God is there guiding him and helping him every step of the way. He always thought to himself as a bubble, letting the good things in life circulate around him and bringing them into the center, and all the bad is outside the bubble, not allowed in. He only sees the good in the world and in others. If anybody ever said anything negative to him, or said something about a thing he made, his usual response was, "You're just jealous." Jacob has always maintained straight A's ever since he started school. Jacob really thought about the question that Gregory asked earlier that night, and thought about how he would go about that situation. The truth is, even though Jacob was straightforward and confident in his answer, he was actually deathly afraid of death itself. He was unsure what would happen right as he kicked the bucket, whether it would be over and the casket was the only place he was going, or whether there actually was an afterlife for those that believe and followed the shepherd Jesus Christ. Then, right before closing his eyes to go to sleep, Jacob said to himself, "You know what? Everything happens for a reason, even death, so that one can free himself from this world and be carried away to heaven by the Holy Spirit. On that note, he put his head in the pillow and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Jake awoke at around 7:30 and wiped the sleep stain out of his eyes. He mustered all his energy up just to barely roll out of bed and start his day. He sluggishly made his way into the kitchen and pulled out 2 waffles for himself. He then got out a glass of fresh orange juice and a plate and waited for the waffles to pop up. Once they popped up, he fished them out of the toaster and smothered some Land O'Lakes butter on and lattered the maple syrup on, completely covering the waffles. As he was thoroughly enjoying his breakfast he made for himself, he heard his sister's bedroom door open, and he thought to himself, "Here we go again." Just as Sylvia was making her way out into the dining room, she peered over to the side at the living room and shouted, "Oh my gosh, Jacob, this living room is a mess. How many times do I have to tell you to clean up after yourself? You're going to have to fix this mess immediately, after you eat. You got that, mister?" Jacob kindly and sarcastically said, "As you wish, princess." Sylvia quickly responded, "You know, you're such a twerp sometimes, you know that?" Then Jacob bit back and said, "And you're such a princess." After that, Jacob went to the living room area and put the chairs back where they used to be and swept up the area. And after that he said, "Does this reach your standards, ma'am?" Sylvia angrily retorted, "You're being a fucking prick, Jacob." Since Sylvia was home, that meant that he didn't want to be home. So Jacob got a towel out of the closet and got his black pair of sunglasses out, and then properly applied suntan lotion to himself, and finally grabbed his iPhone with headphones. It was a nice blue clear day on Clearwater Beach, and the water looked like a sheet of glass. He ran and dived right into the water without a moment's hesitation. Unlike most days, the water was actually what it claimed to be, clear water. The water was very warm, almost as if it was bath water. He then flopped over and just laid on his back in the water and looked at the sky. Then he got his towel out and laid it down on the sand and laid on his back first. He pulled his phone and headphones out of the plastic bag and started listening to music. Then he listened to the song "Someday" by Sugar Ray, which reminded him of summer, and let it settle in. And he faded away in the sunshine. He listened to many more songs after that, and when he started to feel too hot, he made his way back to the apartment. I don't know, my jaw kind of feels weird. I kind of have a sniffy nose, but sorry. Jacob took a shower, dried off, and then threw some clothes on. It was now about 11:30 a.m., and Sylvia was still in the house. He then went in his bed and started reading where he left off in the book called The Hobbit. Even though Jacob has probably read the book 100 times, he still gets a kick out of it. He was now at the part where the dragon was destroying the town next to the mountain, and Bard had to save the town. Sylvia came to Jacob's bedroom about an hour later and said, "I'm going to hang out at a friend's house now, but while I'm gone, you better take good care of yourself and the house, alright?" Jacob calmly replied, "Alright." A little while later, Jacob took a nice bike ride for himself so he could get away for a while and clear his mind. He started riding up Mandalay at a nice easy pace so he didn't have to struggle too much. Then he took a left turn by the tennis courts and noticed that they were full. He saw young people in great shape sprinting around the court trying to get to a little green ball. Then he saw a group of 10 people playing a full court game of basketball at the basketball courts and saw the sweat just dripping off their bodies like a wet rag. It looked like it would be fun to play, but he was embarrassed because he had a little bit of a belly. Then he strolled by Sam Pearl and all the shops and restaurants until he got to Pier 60. Then he turned around and started heading back home. He said to himself, You know what? I can be healthier and get in better shape, and all I have to do is eat better and start exercise. When he got home, he made himself a ham sandwich with a banana and a glass of ice water. Then at around 3 o'clock, Jacob called his pal Gregory and suggested, Hey Gregory, what do you think about going for a 1 mile run with me right now? Gregory then replied almost hysterically, Are you being serious? Well, if you want to, I guess I'm up for it. Jacob said, Do you guess, or are you sure, because I have to know? Then Gregory said, I'm sure, you knucklehead. Jacob joyfully proclaimed, Well, get your running shoes on and meet me outside the 880 Mandalay building. Jacob didn't wait very long, and as promised, there was Gregory dressed up and ready to go. Okay, here's the plan. We're going to run to the end of this Mandalay Street to where the mini roundabout is and turn back. Jacob instructed. Sounds like a plan, Gregory said. They took off at a slow, light pace so they could make it the whole way without stopping. Jacob kept his head still and his eyes on the goal, and just kept on moving. By the time they got to the mini roundabout, Jacob was definitely starting to feel overwhelmed, and had developed a terrible side stitch on his left side. Even though he was in immense pain and sweat was pouring out his body, he just kept on moving like the little choo-choo train that could. Jacob was in warrior mode. When they were about 2 blocks away, they both grew steadily happier until they reached their target. Upon arriving at their destination, they both yelled out, Yes, we did it! Then Jacob said, Now let's go rest inside. I need a breather. Gregory stated, Yeah, me too. They both quickly ran into the kitchen and pulled 2 glasses out of the cupboard and filled them with ice water. They both never enjoyed water so much until right now in that dining room. Jacob then said, still tired from the run, You know what, I'm going to keep on doing this, being healthy and eating right, even though it may be tough to begin with. How about you? I agree, I'll stick with you, brother, Gregory said. Then after a little rest, Gregory suggested, Hey, you want to go to the beach? Sure, Jacob said. Then Jacob grabbed his glasses, his towel, phone, and a frisbee. Once at the beach, they darted right into the Gulf. The water was very nice and rejuvenating. Then after swimming in the water for about a half hour, they got out and grabbed the frisbee. While they were throwing the frisbee around on the beach, Jacob put his iPhone on speaker and started playing music. The first song that came on was Starry-Eyed Surprise, and they both started dancing. Let's see here. Then Gregory gave it all his might and threw the frisbee 50 yards and stopped right at Jacob's stomach and into his hand. Then Gregory said with amazement, Wow, I wonder how I do it. Then Jacob said, I don't know, but you do it. Then after a little while, they grabbed their things and headed back to the room. Then once they got back, Gregory said, Man, aren't you glad there was only 1 more year of high school? Yeah, totally, Jacob replied. This is basically how the rest of the 2013 summer went on, with Jacob hanging out with Gregory, with the rest of the household being gone. Along with running and making healthier food choices, Jacob also did weight training 3 times a week with Gregory and saw some improvements after a short while. After about a month of doing his exercise, he began to keep a journal and keep track of his workouts and what he has been eating. Yep, it was a routine in the summer. Gregory would come over, they would do their exercise, then go to the beach and play Super Smash Bros. Yes, those were the days of the summer breeze. So that's chapter 1. I'm actually in my 5th chapter right now, in the middle of my 5th one. And it's going pretty good. If you want me to read more, just comment, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, I'll make more videos. You guys can let me know if you want to hear more. But a lot happens in the next chapters. First, I don't really want to ruin everything, but Jacob meets a girlfriend, and they start playing tennis sometimes, and basically the main bad guys in the book are going to be the Legion, which are in the Bible, and they're coming to kind of corrupt the world and their souls. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you how the world ends or whatever, but that's what's going to happen. Yeah, basically, they're going to form a group called the White Doves, and they're going to try to bring, peace to as many people as they can before the world ends. But yeah, you're going to have to get the book or hear when it comes out, or hear more of my story. But yeah, I think I'm also going to be doing some tennis instructional videos, because I have a passion for tennis. And yeah, so Seth, my name's Seth, and that's chapter 1. Subscribe.